Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. On 15th of February 2015, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made an interesting observation in his inaugural speech for the first Reinvest Global Summit in New Delhi. He remarked that Indian energy sector has been thinking in terms of megawatts, but for the first time, India had started talking about gigawatts. It was inconceivable that India aimed at 100 gigawatts of installed solar power capacity by 2022, given that the entire country had under 3 gigawatts of existing installations when the Modi government took over. Yet the ambitious targets had clearly signaled that the government's intent to make solar energy an integral part of the Indian energy security strategy. India has managed to hit about 35 gigawatts in installed capacity till now. One major gap is rooftop solar, which has not progressed much. So while adding 65 gigawatts of solar capacity in 2 years looks tough, opening up of the rooftop solar market nationwide can help push the envelope. But even this current progress from 3 to 35 gigawatts was not easy. One of the projects which gave impetus to this journey was the Reva Ultra Mega Solar Limited solar plant inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on the 10th of July. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze India's solar energy push. Joining me on the program today are Upendra Tripathi, Director General, International Solar Alliance, Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, Consulting Editor of the Business Standard, and Prafulla Pathak, President, Solar Energy Society of India. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Prafulla Pathak, I'd like to begin the program with you. Let's first try and understand and analyze the solar power sector in the country and where it stands today.
That's a wonderful thing. As you said in your initial remarks, the impetus has been there with the inauguration of Reva solar plant. It's one of the biggest solar power plant in Asia. And as you said rightly in your opening remarks earlier, talking in megawatt was a difficult thing. But now we are talking in gigawatt, particularly when we are talking about the solar plants and solar parks. At the same time, this is the time to gain energy to the rooftop sector, and this sector will definitely give a much bigger entrepreneurs to come in, and the cost which we are now sensing in the solar sector that has taken this sector as affordable to the masses in our society, and that is the main area where we need to concentrate, and I am happy that everyone is looking at that area. There are difficulties which we will talk in our discussions further, but overall I am very happy with whatever is happening in solar industry in India.
This is the industry. Let me bring you into the picture now. As far as the solar energy sector is concerned, we have an ambitious target of reaching 100 gigawatts by 2022. We have about 2 years now to achieve that particular target. We are about 35% along the way as far as achieving that target is concerned. Do you see us achieving the target? How far have we come along this particular journey?
Well, it's been a long way. It's been a long way that we have covered. And as you rightly pointed out in your first comments, we have, really got the movement worked out. The essential problem was that starting out from, say, as you said, about 3 megawatts to going on to 35, the initial process is difficult because you got to work out a lot of the technical parts on the way of how to set up the solar industry, the solar architecture. Once that happens, doubling it, as unfortunately we have seen in the COVID case, a doubling becomes easier to happen. So in a beneficial way, the solar, once we have reached now at a particular level, it is not very difficult from here on. So the yearly targets will be much more easier. We have a lot of challenge, as you are pointing out, as Mr. Prafulla was also pointing out. And one of the major things is that the distribution sector, which is where the challenge is, that would be something that we will need to work out as we go ahead. But that I suppose we can talk about later. But in terms of the generation, that is looking interesting. particularly the fact, even if we discount the fact that this particular project got an exceptionally high bid because of a window that was there, the zero import duty, which ends by in July when we put on import duties on equipments from China. But the very fact that now India is also not just looking at manufacturing solar plants, but also manufacturing the modules is very important. That was the missing link. So in terms of the films, in terms of the frames, in terms of even getting the rare earth combinations all together, there are lots of things that go on into solar energy. All of those elements that we are talking about now in terms of manufacturing within India is I think I would say even an even more exciting part than just the manufacturing of the solar plants.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Tripathi, I'd like to bring you into the picture now to talk about the kind of collaboration that is happening really as far as the international space is concerned when we talk about solar energy. Because, for some time now, the world has been looking to renewables, while looking to, put fossil fuels behind us and looking to take up solar energy on a large scale. So what is the kind of collaboration that we are seeing on the international level really as far as solar energy is concerned?
Thank you. It's a very good question. Actually, with solar, is right. When I happened to be the secretary in 2014 to 16 in MNRE when we brought in this 100 gigawatt policy, and I remember I was explaining to the Honorable Prime Minister, in one page of the note I wrote megawatt, in the second page I wrote gigawatt. So he asked me, how come you have written the megawatt in the first page and in the second page gigawatt? And through bureaucrat, I said, sir, it is a mistake. He said, no, it is not a mistake. Your mind is transiting from megawatt to gigawatt. But now we have come to a time when, we have brought in International Solar Alliance to talk in terms of terawatt. Essentially, India has taken a global leadership position in solar. And to go back to the 40,000 megawatt of rooftop, we divided 100,000 megawatt in India to 60,000 land-based, 40,000 megawatt of rooftop, because there was no land available at that point of time. It was very difficult to get land. So rooftop doesn't require land. But then there was a footnote saying that you can always convert rooftop back to ground mounted. And there was a plan B, and there is a plan B. I remember, if you talk of India, starting from asking to Kanyakumari, we have 58,000 substations. And in each substation, if you give 1 megawatt to entrepreneurs, maybe even entrepreneurs, to put 1 megawatt each, we have got 70,000 megawatt in India. It's a huge country, a subcontinent. So the target is never, big for India. That is why India is talking about going beyond, 175, gigawatt now. But through International Solar Alliance, we are talking about 1,000 gigawatts by 2030. By mobilizing 1,000, billion, $1 trillion as investment in ISA member countries. And how many member countries have come under the ISA? We have got 86 signatories now, which means 86 sovereign countries are members of International Solar Alliance. And we have amended the act now. 194 countries can become members in future. What essentially we are focusing is solar. That we don't have an international wind agency or wind alliance. We have only solar because solar is the most competitive, universally available. So from ISA, India's first leadership is not that it is the host country. It is the one who actually propelled ISA, in COP21 and in France they launched it. But they are trying to address 4 issues: land, labor, capital, and technology. Now, in case of land, of course, different models India is offering. If you look at the 2,000 plus megawatt Pavagada solar park in Karnataka, it is the unique thing in the world that for the first time, land was not taken away from the farmer. The farmers came together, formed a cooperative, and the entire 2,000 plus megawatt in Pavagada is coming that without taking away land. The land comes back to the farmer, they get rich rentals. And second thing, the way they address humanitarian issues, rehabilitation issues, each company pays some 5 lakhs, ₹500,000 for each megawatt for 5 years. They form a trust and they address the issues of the families which are displaced by this huge solar park.
Taking the discussion forward now, so Prafula Pathak, let's talk about some of the challenges really as far as the solar energy space in our country is concerned, and how can we address those challenges?
See, the pandemic situation has brought in many challenges. The first challenge is whatever the supply, solar sector supply was with in our country, it was mainly from neighboring nation. So the first challenge is whether the similar supply will continue, whether it will continue at the same price, whatever the charges or taxes that we are planning to on that supply, what will be the charges there, and whether our manufacturing industry, which Honorable Prime Minister has asked them to come up and try to fill up the gap. So what will be the outcome of that? That is also one of the thing. So these are the challenges in my opinion. So finally, the vendor or trader, at what cost he will get all the solar material, that is the first thing. And what are the different taxes and other things that are coming in, how, what impact it will have, that will be the one thing. But however, I am optimistic that whenever such situations appears, we concentrate on that and we will come up with some solution wherein we can give whatever the solar industry, we can deliver it at an affordable cost to the user, the last person. So if we can do that, then this is the right situation to work on. Though there are difficulties, whenever there are difficulties, there are possible solutions, and one should come up with the solution, and definitely that will be an advantage situation. So the main thing is economics. At what affordable cost we are in a position, by all these difficulties, facing all difficulties, we will deliver to the last person. Similarly, as we discussed, rooftop is the next sector wherein we need to concentrate, particularly for the masses, that will create employment to the employment and entrepreneurship. So one thing which is my personal opinion is, normally in solar sector since last 8 to 10 years, the concept is put a solar PV plant and give it to the distribution utility. I have a different opinion here. We need to change this, because distribution utilities have their own problems, and connecting the small units to the distribution network, though we are working on that, we are finding solutions, but it's a difficult situation because the solar supply is not that reliable at this moment. The support of energy storage can definitely improve that. But as I said, in my personal opinion, solar sector, particularly rooftop sector, needs to be Atmanirbhar. We have to have installations which will be in a position to give or cater the requirement of the user, generating energy and giving it to the distribution utility and expecting a return from him. We need to change that. This is my personal opinion.
Okay. All right, Shubhamoy, let me bring you into the picture now. You spoke about how distribution is one aspect and how we need to address that. Another aspect is, of course, the infrastructure and the components as well. The Prime Minister has spoken about how all of these components need to be manufactured here in India itself so that we can meet the need and demand. But, how equipped are we to do it, and can we, taking the point that Prafulla Pathak was making, can we get it at an affordable rate where the industry can make good use of it?
Well, if you look at the recent data that's come out, the MOFCOM data on major M&As in the sector, this year the numbers have started to come down. But that's not surprising, because in January to June was an exceptional year this year. But about the $4.6 billion, which is moving around in the solar energy globally in terms of investments and others, one of the major things that's happening is that India is even now a recipient of technology. It's not as yet in terms of R&D at the cutting edge. And generators are talking about the fact that they need the swaps and other things. But I think this is where this need to step into the battle a bit, because essentially, if Atmanirbhar would need them to come up with new technologies, and doesn't mean copying technologies, that will not help. And that's something where I think National Solar Alliance's good work in terms of bringing in new sort of patterns of technology would be useful for countries to dip into. But as a leading player, India needs to get that part of its work together. The second part, and I think this is a very complicated part, it's just not about distribution companies. Most solar projects are coming up through what is called the PPA. This is frankly a bit difficult thing to handle because every PPA is worked out on a particular model. The more projects there will be more PPAs. Instead, if we have an exchange traded mechanism where power flows across the spot exchanges, we would have a much more integrated, realizable, and efficient price discovery. And that is where companies need to move. Right now, what they're doing is they're protecting their revenue stream for future by depending on PPA. I think this is something that they need to come out and move into the distribution mechanism through the exchanges. Obviously, there's a challenge there, but without that, we will not have efficiencies. What we are talking about, the low prices that we are getting should translate to the consumers, and it's not translating to the consumers as of now. The distribution companies are hogging the benefits because of the distribution losses that they are trying to cover by the low price at which they are buying and the cost of selling the electricity. So that's something that we need to do it on, and that the people of India are entitled. The second part is that many of the power generation companies are now coming out from the fossil fuel companies, NTPC for instance, or Coal India. These are companies which are now becoming major players in the solar market. And that means that essentially we are looking at a consolidation in the case of solar power, which is very good, I think. There were lots of smaller operators, but that is what was also holding back investment because they didn't have the capacity to do the research and development that was necessary to develop the cutting edge. So I think the fact that there are big companies from the fossil fuel sector are coming into solar power is leading to consolidation, and I think that is the reason why today we are talking in terms of gigawatts rather than megawatts. Essentially, they have the ability to drive that sort of an investment. So we need to yes, there's a positive thing that's happening, that is in terms of these big companies coming in. Along with that, now we need to make the pricing model more efficient.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Tripathi, let me talk about another aspect now. A few days ago, the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, in fact, praised India for its solar energy efforts and what we are doing really on the solar energy front. That is one. Secondly, of course, how serious is the world really to take on solar energy at the level at which our Prime Minister envisions, and is the world ready to move away from fossil fuels?
Well, the first question is, you must have heard about Gandhi Solar Park. It's a small, some 80 kilowatt thing at the rooftop of UN building in New York. And in fact, when Audrey I visited the UN, I used to wonder how come they don't have rooftop. So I was so pleased that India, spent $7 billion to put, the rooftop in the UN building itself. So the Secretary General is actually more than one reason to praise India, because India brought rooftop to the UN building. And the second thing is that the world coping with solar. You see that India has superseded many countries in the last 3-4 years. It's now except who are all above India: China, US, Japan, and I think UK and Germany. So 5 more India moves up. Actually, in all countries, it's a question of 3 things: skill, scale, and speed. How fast you put things, how skillfully you manage, maintain it, and the speed at which you do it. And ultimately, it's a question of price, cost, because even between AC and DC, if you go back 100 years back, it was the price war that ultimately decided whether AC will come in or DC will come in. The famous, Thomas Edison and the other AC, the other scientist, Tesla. But the main question, if you look at globally, the price of solar panels has come down by almost 80%. The next most challenge for the world is storage, cost of storage, and the type of storage that is going to be popularized. Now, even the fate of one world, one sun, one grid is going to be decided between the cost of storage and cost of intercontinental transmission. So cost decides everything. How accessible it is, how affordable it is. So at some context, initially everybody was looking at something called grid parity. Every country was looking at grid parity, and solar was way ahead of far up to grid parity. Grid parity was not cheaper. Now today, in many countries, most countries, solar has come below the grid parity. Solar is cheap. I remember in 2015, NTPC would give thermal energy to bundle with solar energy so that solar energy can be sold. Today it is the other way around. NTPC bundles solar energy with thermal energy to market thermal energy. See how things are changing. Globally today, we are looking at a different type of cost. We are looking at kerosene parity. So like grid parity, today we say that the solar cost should be as much or cheaper than kerosene parity. Because there are a billion people who have no access to electricity, there are 2 billion women who still cook without clean energy fuel. So the next target for ISA or many other organizations, many countries, is that you bring down the cost to kerosene parity. But then in long term, it is possible that if you can get breakthrough in technology of storage, it can touch near zero. Today, when you talk about solar price, actually there is always a misconception. We tell that today the price of solar energy is 2 rupees 36 paisa in India. But when you say today the cost of coal energy is 2 rupees or 4 rupees in India, this is 4 rupees for this year. Next year it is 3% more. Next year it is 3% more. Whereas in solar it is fixed for 25 years. So, if you discount at 3% or even 4%, you'll find that current cost of solar is 38 paisa at the end of 25 years. So, this is a very important factor to understand that the price we talk in the context of solar in many countries is different. The price that we quote in case of thermal energy, without taking the carbon effect into account, that solar is green energy, solar is clean energy, solar is a different social phase. It helps us actually to calm down the earth and address climate changes. So, to sum up, the cost is coming down, but the storage cost is critical. It has to go below, $100 per kilowatt hour. And in many countries, they are now talking about renewable energy 24/7, which means you take either solar energy or solar derivative, put them together, but the contractor or the party's obligation is that you give 24/7 renewable energy. And that cost is the real cost that is coming up. India has introduced, Chile has been, doing it generally that way. So you find there's so much of progress, not only in technologies, in managerial skills, in pricing, in policies, in regulations, that we are heading for a solar revolution. So I won't be surprised that, bigger chunk of, there are countries now which run 24/7 with wind and solar and, renewable energies. And the base is getting bigger and bigger. The, size of countries that are coming together to tackle jointly renewable energy. So prices are bound to come down, and market is going to decide that energy which is more energy environment friendly and less costly.
Right. Okay. Time now to get quick closing comments from all my guests with the best way forward and how do we ensure that we take this solar push to the next level. Starting first with you, Prafulla Pathak.
The situation after pandemic, one has to monitor very closely. What are the possible difficulties that we overcome? That is one thing which we need to concentrate. And another thing is, this is the high time for our research and research institutes or universities to step in and look for the good research or the activities related to that. And the other thing is, it's all about economics. The manufacturer has to be comfortable to sell his product. The trader has to be comfortable to take it to the next level. The end user, the last mile user, he also has to be comfortable. The main problem which we may face herein is a liquidity. The liquidity in the market is not there. So we need to have some innovative schemes or innovative thinking so that the liquidity comes in and the users, those who are using these solar installations, the benefit to them, if we can if we can achieve the position wherein we can benefit them, then that definitely we can grow further.
Right. Okay. All right. Shubhamoy, best way forward.
You know, solar is one sector where the acceptance at the mass level is far higher than at the policy. There are lots of things that the government of India brings where it has to encourage people to accept. Solar is not one of them. Solar is an area where the people are more willing to take it on compared to what is dished out. So I think that's a tremendous opportunity. Given that sort of an opportunity, I think the solar power sector right now needs to diversify its research into producing products that serve every price point in the economy. And that is something very important. They are looking too much only on this generation of the power plants. We need to have millions of types of solar products coming up. And I think that is where we are missing a trick even more.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Tripathi, close the show for us with your quick concluding remark.
Well, I think very learning experience to have the learned panelists with me. And three things: let us come together. Like ISA is an example. Countries are coming together. In India, provinces can come together. Have that aggregation. For example, in ISA, in Solar Alliance, we aggregated the demand of 22 countries. 272,000 solar pumps. Prices came down by 40%. Tomorrow, we are launching a global tender for 47 million home lighting systems, 5 million hybrid solar cookers, and 250 million LED bulbs. And I'm sure the prices will come down. So come together and let us make the sun brighter. Which means we must have policies, regulations which facilitates to exploit this oil in the air. And which is cost-free, doesn't cost any money. It comes fairly regular sunrise and sunset. And we are talking about interconnections. And third thing is capacity building. Every country, our member country, they must have innate ability, because knowledge is something you can't just import and operate it. You have to have inbuilt homemade knowledge, and that is critical. It is so critical that if you want a long-term base to exploit the sun, although it is abundant, you need in-house techniques, in-house expertise, and that is why we are telling all our member countries build up. And that is true of, India as a subcontinent. Each province is almost a country outside. So we all come together and have this aggregation techniques, R&D technologies, market-oriented, addresses where we solve problems. These are the ways we can move there.
Okay. All right. On that note, then I'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. What's coming out of this discussion is that the future for solar energy looks bright, and the generation is looking good as well. There are certainly some challenges that need to be addressed, that need to be looked at along the way. Pricing, of course, is going to be the biggest and the most fundamental of those issues. Once we get these things sorted, of course, it's only going to reach new heights and scale new heights, is what the panelists are suggesting. With that, it's a wrap. See you again next time.